Welcome at my third guided museum tour video. You'll find my previous two museum videos in my World War II history playlist. Today I'm visiting, together with my friends of reenactment group 352 Volksgrenadier Division and Kampfgruppe Böhm, the Open-air Museum Raversyde, located in Raversyde, a sub-municipality of the Belgian city of Ostend. On this domain there are 60 bunkers, observation posts and artillery positions, all connected by 2 kilometers of corridors, and together they form one of the best preserved parts of the German defense line, the Atlantikwall. A World War II defense belt, it was built by the Germans between 1942 and 1944, spanning 5,000 kilometers from the French-Spanish border all the way to Norway. But on this side, you'll also find items from the First World War. The only preserved coastal battery from the First World War is located here, namely Battery Aachen. I will discuss this coastal battery in detail in this first part. But before we get that far, we'll start the tour with this Bofors 40mm automatic gun L60, an anti-aircraft autocannon, designed in the 1930s by the Swedish arms manufacturer AB Bofors. Throughout World War II, it became one of the most popular and widespread medium-weight anti-aircraft gun, and was used by the majority of the Western Allies and some Axis powers such as Nazi Germany and Hungary. This is a QF 3-pounder Hotchkiss from around 1900, a 74mm naval gun with a maximum range of 3,675 meters. The G7a was a standard issue Kriegsmarine torpedo introduced to service in 1943. It was a steam-powered design using a wet heater engine burning decaline, with a range of 7,500 meters and 40 knot speed. And now we're heading over to the Prince Karel Memorial, where the visitor is introduced to the life of Prince Karel. After being regent of Belgium for 6 years, from September 20, 1944 till July 20, 1950, Prince Karel settled in the simple fisherman's house in Ostend. The house has been redecorated as it used to look. There are objects on display that are reminiscent of the royal family, and a number of his paintings hang here. Among other things, there's Napoleon's chair, sculptures by Queen Elizabeth, and a portrait of Leopold II. The part of the Atlantikwall, a set of bunkers and trenches, which were partly restored to their original state, was preserved because Prince Karel, the owner of the land, continued to oppose the demolition. The improved Flak 38 Flugzeugabwehrkanone 38 was a 20mm anti-aircraft gun used by various German forces throughout World War II. It was not only the primary German light anti-aircraft gun, but by far the most numerously produced German artillery piece throughout the war. And this building was a German headquarters, which was used by Prince Karel as a play area after the war. A table tennis table was located here. Also notice the concrete guardhouse on the right side. The QF 3-inch 20 CVT anti-aircraft gun became the standard anti-aircraft gun used in the home defense of the United Kingdom against German Zeppelin airships and bombers on the Western Front in World War I. Here we see a 800 kilo German Naval magnetic ground mine for shallow water. Now we arrive at the two supply bunkers from the Second World War. War is often discussed in animated films. For example, the American cartoon Peace on Earth warned us in 1939. That year, Germany invaded Poland and the Second World War began. In the special setting of bunkers, you could discover in each bunker one of 3 animated films until November 12th. Here on the entrance wall, we see a sign that reads Ost W, meaning it was part of the German sector west of Ostend. In front of us is a green checkered house, the original lightkeeper's house until 1914. Before the war, there was a guided light next to the house, a kind of lighthouse, but with a fixed light. And closer to the sea, there was a second guiding light. During the war, the guided lights provided targets for Allied ships, and the Germans shot them down in 1915. In 2015, Dutch artist Lily van der Stocker was commissioned to paint the villa. She was inspired by a World War I technique to camouflage boats for painting the facades and roof. Inside, there's an exhibition with information and displays about the war at sea and on the coast during World War I, the German Marine Corps, and the daily life of German soldiers. Now it's time to discover the World War I Aachen coastal battery, which was completely restored a few years ago. During the First World War, she was part of a group of 40 permanent batteries that had to defend the port and the coastline. And during the Second World War, they were reused in Hitler's Atlantikwall. It's one of the best preserved coastal batteries in existence. In the autumn of 1914, German troops took over a large part of Belgium and began building the Aachen Battery, started on January 8, 1915, and it was already operational at the end of April 1915. Battery Aachen had 2 observation bunkers and 4 gun emplacements. Both observation bunkers functioned as eyes for the gun positions. We see one of these eyes here, a German rangefinder, made in Berlin from 1914 until 1918 with a length of 6 meters. They were also referred to as a range-finding telemeter, a device used to measure distances to remote objects. This is a western bunker where there was a communication center for passing on orders to the gun positions and measuring the distance to enemy ships. Here on top of the bunker was a large 6-meter long rangefinder. A speaking tube connected this to the audit office. Here we see the main feature of the observation room, the observation slot just above the ground, offering almost a 180-degree view of the sea. There was also a small rangefinder here, and silhouette drawings helped identify enemy warships. The observation room forwarded observations to the calculation room behind it, which calculated the coordinates necessary for aiming the guns. A bell signal gave the order to fire. In this display, we see at the bottom right a binocular, measuring instruments, compass, and an inclinometer to determine the slope of shots, with a secret map from 1917 of the German coastal defenses at the top. We also see a signal lamp, scissor binoculars, a telephone exchange with cable, and Morse code machine. A little further away, there used to be a wooden chalet of King Leopold II, and it was visited by the Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand in the summer of 1913, the year before his assassination would trigger the First World War. In December 1914, the Germans set fire to the chalet out of fear that it would be a target for British naval guns. And this is where the 4 artillery positions were built, as you can already see. I'll discuss this in more detail a little further in the video. This is the eastern observation bunker. Both bunkers were virtually identical, but unlike the western observation post, this one underwent a lot of renovations during the Second World War. A new observation room was then built for artillery observers of Batterie Hannover in Laffinge, and the anti-aircraft gun on the roof. The observation slot just above the ground, offering almost a 180-degree view of the sea. Now we arrive at one of the 4 gun positions. Each shelter was equipped with a 15 cm gun, which was placed under steel domes for protection. With a range of 18 kilometers, they protected the port of Ostend. Under the gun emplacement, there were 2 ammunition rooms for storing and preparing the projectiles. The chargers were stored on the left and the grenades on the right. The chargers and grenades were brought to the guns via an ammunition lift. Bunkers were supplied via a narrow track throughout the entire battery. The ammunition was transported by mine carts. From 1916 onwards, if shelling was too heavy, soldiers could seek shelter in a fortified, deeply buried, bomb-proof shelter. In October 1918, the Allied troops broke through the German lines and found the dynamited guns and abandoned ammunition in Battery Aachen. The Marines stayed in wooden barracks, and the officers had their own living space at the entrance. Here we see one replica structure of a wooden barrack. Several wells, such as the Barbara Brunnen, provided drinkable water. This is the end of part 1 of the Raversyde site. Don't forget to watch part 2, where I'll guide you through the World War II parts of this site. Thanks for watching, Bis nächste Mal. Tschüss. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell button.